When Hall of Famer and former defensive end Alan Page played for the Minnesota Vikings, he was known as one of the Purple People Eaters. Nowadays, you can call him Your Honor.
The evidence here of premeditation is staggering.
I'm Angela Sun at the Minnesota Supreme Court, and I'm taking you outside the game.
One of the most notable defensive linemen in NFL history, a Pro Bowler 9 consecutive times, and honored in the Hall of Fame, Alan Page still carries a grim reminder of the violence of playing professional football.
I dislocated this finger fairly early on in my professional football career. I was trying to tackle somebody. That person was going the opposite direction I was. Got him down, but in the process they continued going the other direction, and my
took it with him.
Finger decided to go with it. Jim Marshall eventually walked over and he grabs it and pulled it back into place, and I then had to put that hand with that finger down on the ground to get back into my stance. You know, football is a violent game.
Shaping public opinion through decisions at the highest level of the Minnesota legal system is a challenge Page relishes.
What's your favorite part about being a justice?
It's almost not even fair to call it work.
Really? Why?
Everything about it is so challenging, but I find that fun. I also find a great deal of satisfaction in the process of creating an opinion.
For Page, the skills to analyze a case has its roots in his NFL playing days. The intellectual process, he says, is surprisingly similar.
When I talk about analyzing a problem, that's what you do on a football field.
Alan does a very good job on focusing on what's before us and the issues and what needs to be decided. What made him great in football is that mental ability to focus on what's important.
It's the same thing with respect to what we do as a court.
Beginning his football career in 9th grade, Page went on to play for Notre Dame in college and then moved on to an illustrious career with the Minnesota Vikings. Amazingly, Page completed his legal education in the off-season. The law school took 2 tries for him to succeed.
I wasn't as committed to it as I needed to be. I can remember going to that first class, having read some 400 or 500 pages and walking into the class and not understanding one thing that the professor was talking about. What I didn't realize is that nobody else understood one thing he was talking about either. In reality, I was just at the very beginning stages of learning the process. The second time, I loved every minute of it.
He finished his NFL playing days with the Chicago Bears, retiring in 1981. He then worked as an attorney and was finally elected to the Minnesota Supreme Court in 1992. His sensitivity to injustice has fueled his legal opinions, and it's something he remains vigilant about, even off the bench. He and his wife, Diane, have a large collection of Jim Crow-era artifacts, reminders of the legalized segregation and prejudices of the past.
When Alan saw this sign in Chicago, he actually teared up a little bit. And so when he left the room, I said to the person who owned the sign, put it on lay-by, do whatever. I have to have this sign. And Alan didn't know I had purchased it, but I surprised him with it at Christmas time. Show them the other side of this is the part that just, I think, caused the tearing. Our country shall be one country.
It's a pretty powerful message.
Yeah.
Page's many laurels, though, haven't been something to rest on. He and his wife have found a way, through their love of education, to broaden the impact of Page's stature. The result? The Page Foundation, one of the couple's proudest accomplishments.
Education is a tool that anyone can use to make their future better.
In the 25 years, we've had over 5,000 Page Scholars, and they've mentored over 350,000 little kids in Minnesota. That's K through 8th grade.
The key component, every Page Scholar must mentor a younger student.
Mentorship works well because regardless what you do in life, you're never really doing anything on your own.
I wouldn't be where I am if I didn't have the mentors in my life.
Nearing the 20-year mark on the Minnesota Supreme Court, the 67-year-old Page is still passionate about his legal legacy and ensuring society has learned from the lessons of the past.
Signs like this are a reminder that we haven't always been fair as a people. We haven't always provided equal justice. We haven't always provided people due process. And it's something that I don't believe we as a society can afford to forget.
So, Justice Page, can you remember the muddiest football game you ever played in?
Actually, the coldest I've ever been was in Atlanta in either late November or December, playing in a game where it was 37 degrees, the wind was blowing at 20 plus miles an hour, and it was raining. And so you were muddy, you were wet, and you were cold the entire time you were out there. And yeah, that's part of the challenge. That's part of what the game was about.